I don't know if this Venn diagram warrants a co-headlining tour. Maybe. I'd be super down to see both these artists take the stage on the same night and then encore funeral together every night. I'm gonna put that out into the world, and maybe it'll happen once we can finally see live music again.
Hey, it's Media Pixel Fangirl, discussing music, TV, film, memes, and other mediums. Please comment, like, subscribe, or not. That's cool too.
So I had a bad week this week. I was stressed out and depressed, and when I get like that, I need to turn it around. Ironically, turning it around looks like listening to sad music about how everything sucks and how sad I am. Lucky for me, 2020 delivered 2 amazing albums that got me through this year and are just total gems. Those 2 albums are Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers and Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs. They both have end of the world vibes to them, and I've been asking myself, as I find comfort in these albums, how is it that both these artists came to this conclusion during 2020 before all that has unfolded happened? I think the easy answer is that things were trending this way, whether it be pandemic or not. As I listen to these albums regularly, I find myself finding more and more connections between these 2 artists, and I've created a Venn diagram of what those connections are, but also just want to gush about these albums, because nothing makes me happier than sad music and gushing about it.
What?
Autobiographical.
No way.
Yep.
I heard about Phoebe Bridgers through Julian Baker. I was obsessed with Julian's 2015 album, Sprained Ankle. It was just sad and emo, but folky at the same time, and just fell in love with her. So through Julian, I found Phoebe. Her debut album came out a little bit later, and I've really found myself attached to songs like Motion Sickness and Smoke Signals. I also found Phoebe's collab with Noah Gunderson later, who I'm also a fan of. So just when an artist is surrounded by other artists that you already like, chances are you're going to like them too. That being said, since I was so obsessed with Julian Baker at the time, Phoebe wasn't really on my radar, to be honest. So I feel like I was very late to the game there. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but I'm the type of person where I will just listen to music I already love over and over and over. So I'm still listening to music from like late 90s, early 2000s. So every year I force myself to discover new music, find new artists that I enjoy. When I was living in Austin, every time South by rolled around, I knew there was going to be a bunch of free shows and artists from all over the world coming to Austin. So I'd take that as an opportunity to go through the artist list and see who could I discover this year, who am I attracted to, and go try to hit up their shows. Although I moved away from Austin last year, I kept that habit of making South by the time where I discovered new music. And one of the ways I try to find new artists is through NPR's Austin 100 playlist that they do every year for South by. And I'll be honest, only one track on that playlist stood out to me, and that was Spanish Love Songs, Sequels, Remakes, and Adaptations. It stopped me in my tracks. I was literally working, listening to the album, stopped working, and started looking up who is this band. I thought the scene was dead. When I heard that song in the playlist, I was instantly obsessed. And I have not stopped listening to Spanish Love Songs ever since. I have the Spotify analytics to prove it. I was one of those fans that when the Spotify Wrapped playlist came out and they weren't in my analytics, I knew something was wrong. Luckily, they fixed that. I really loved Schmaltz. It was such a good album. There are so many lyrics off that album that really resonate with me, but the line where I fell in love with Spanish Love Songs forever and ever was in The Boy Considers His Haircut.
One fun money to fix my nose and learn to breathe without pacing. I don't want to be
because I'm also trying to find the money to fix my nose. It's super broken, and when Dylan sings that, it just resonates with me so much. Another song, while not on Schmaltz or Giant Sings the Blues, that really stood out to me was their cover of Funeral. And to be honest, I thought this was an original at first. It took me a second to make the click of like, no, this is a Phoebe Bridgers cover. Like, holy shit, didn't see that coming. And possibly an unpopular opinion, but I actually prefer Spanish Love Songs version. I don't know why that is, but they're both great. But the Spanish Love Songs version just speaks to me. Also late to the game on Spanish Love Songs, but so glad I made it to the party because they are one of my all-time favorite bands at this point. I think they're just amazing.
I don't know. Phoebe Bridgers had a great quote about it too. They're like, it's like you can write sad songs and still be like a not sad person 100% of the time. That's not the exact quote, but that was like the gist of it. And when I read that, and I was like, oh yeah, for sure.
Spanish Love Songs put out Brave Faces Everyone on February 7th, 2020. While it's not technically their sophomore album, I think most fans consider it as such. It's got that heavy pop punk energy that we've come to love from this band, with its emo lyrics and grouchcore vibes. I'm just here for it. I think any pop punk kid in their late 20s, early 30s can find solace in this band, and the themes around this album are very 2020. It's really the problems that our generation has to face, and that everything sucks because of these problems, and just kind of wallowing in it. I know Dylan, their lead singer, talks about how he tried to bring a positive energy to all this negativity, but at the end of the day still felt kind of odd about it.
You know what's funny is I've tried. So we're starting to write the next album now. And I'm trying to put like little positive drops here and there.
Right.
And it just doesn't feel right. Like it feels like I'm forcing something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's, it won't be 10 out of 10.
Because it is hard to find hope in these times, and really all you can do is brace yourself for it. I don't want to do a review of this album because it would just be that I love it, but wanted to talk about a couple of lines that I really resonate with during this time. Kick and really not okay is what's expected. I didn't think we'd be this not okay, but here we are. Beachfront property. It's the end of days, guys. They're talking about global warming, which we're also dealing with during this, but just really getting that it's the end of days vibes. If my shirt didn't give me away, Losers and Losers 2 are my favorite songs on the album. I honestly think they're the epitome of pop punk and the anthem for millennials. It summarizes everything we're dealing with and makes me want to chant in a crowd while singing these lyrics. Like, I personally am still watching TV that I'm stealing from my parents, and as someone who's been living in metropolitan areas the last few years, the cost of living means the cost to stay alive. I don't know how Dylan did it. These lyrics really summarize our generation and what we have to deal with. Brave Faces Everyone is our title track and the last song on the album. You can hear in the song that they're trying to bring that hopefulness to everything that's going on. This song is cathartic. It tries to bring hopefulness to all the problems that this album clearly lays out, that our generation has to deal with. And while it tries to bring that hopeful energy, it really comes down to like brave faces, everyone. Brace yourself. This is it. It's probably not going to get any better, but maybe our attitudes around it can. On June 18th, 2020, Phoebe Bridgers released her album Punisher. It was a long-awaited sophomore album, but really she's been ever present since her first one came out, releasing work with Boy Genius and also Better Oblivion Community Center. While I loved Phoebe's previous work, Punisher is just the perfect album as a whole, and I was really happy to see that from her. Garden Song released early on during lockdowns before the whole album came out, and I remember vividly wondering what was going to come next, playing that song on repeat and pulling tarot cards trying to see the future. If I'm super honest. Garden Song really gives you a taste of the sound and the themes that we're expected to see in this album when it finally came out. We get that taste of loneliness and the romanticism we get from Phoebe's folk songs, and really just that super sad music that we love to be sad about. This album mirrors so well with Spanish Love Songs in the sense that Spanish Love Songs is super high energy, blunt, and Phoebe is soft and empathetic, but they're really both getting at the same things. Phoebe's album was perfect for 2020 in the sense that it really captures the humdrum of being stuck at home and romanticizing finally being home, and then once it happens, it kind of sucks. Like, I was excited to work from home, just not have to put on pants and, just be in my house, and at this point, I'm really sick of it and would love to go back to the office and have to leave my apartment at least a couple times a week. We get really great imagery from Phoebe in this album, and the arrangements are also standout. We start to see that theme of getting what you want and kind of being bummed that you got it in Kyoto, and I Changed My Mind is a great lyric. Also appreciate how the challenge or meme came out of the song of people going on Instagram or TikTok or whatever and playing that little do 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 do, like on clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, flute. All these awesome little covers came out, and that just brought joy to my day when I came across them. Savior Complex is my second favorite song off this album. I don't know what that says about me. There's just an airiness and lightness to this song that I love. It's just super dreamy. The instrumentation is amazing. Like, it sounds, and I'm not sure if this is true, correct me in the comments, but it sounds like there's a clarinet being played, and it's when you're blowing just enough air into it to get this hollow, woody sound. It might even just be like the mouthpiece of the clarinet, but just those little touches in the song make it one of my favorites. I think there's no coincidence that I love this song because Christian Lee Hudson has a writing credit on it, and he's married to Sharon Silva, who's a member of the Wild Reeds, one of my other favorite bands. I Know the End is my favorite song off the album. I think most everybody's. It's just a masterpiece, honestly. It's about the world ending and the imagery that comes along with it and the feelings. Again, speaking to wanting to be home and being home, and you romanticize this thing that didn't turn out. I've really been dreaming of seeing Phoebe perform this live. I know she's been doing a lot of press and performing this song a lot, but I really do want to see it live, although I don't think she'll scream it every night, but at least play the clip of her screaming it because it's amazing. I also love how she has done an interview and talked about the ASMR influence, and you can really hear it in this song, especially at the end when she's just blowing hot air into the mic, and it sounds like a scream in the distance where it's just like it's just so fun and creative, and just like Spanish Love Songs, Brave Faces Everyone, I Know the End brings a catharsis, more from like screaming your lungs out and just getting out the feels. Spanish Love Songs more like buckle up, shit ain't done. I was really happy to fall in love with this album. I wasn't a huge Phoebe Bridgers fan before this, but I sure as hell am now. Since I've been listening to these two albums for most of 2020, I worked on a little Venn diagram of probably why I love these two so much. So it really comes down to similarities between the artists. Both Phoebe and Spanish Love Songs, I think obviously the overlap is their recordings of Funeral, while very different, the same song, and the song's perfect for both artists. Dylan from Spanish Love Songs has mentioned how their cover of Funeral got more press than Schmaltz at the time.
Let's see. There's a charity cover that you should listen to if you haven't. It's our cover of Funeral by Phoebe Bridgers, who is one of our favorite artists.
Really good. That got some buzz, right?
It did. It's so funny. We got on Uprocks with that, but not with the album. I was so mad. I mean, it was great. And the article is so kind. But I was like, how are we getting... Yeah, and oh man, there's so many stories. Like, Phoebe actually came into the store that Meredith works at, and I was like, "You got to tell her." And like, nothing happened. I was like, "Damn it, that would have been such a dumb story to be like, yeah, my punk band covered you." We love Phoebe.
So that's interesting. Both artists have LA roots. I don't think most of Spanish Love Songs is in LA anymore, but do have those LA roots. They both are artists playing sad music. It's just sad. There's no way around it.
We are Sex Bomb, and we're here to make you think about death and get sad and stuff!
There's no denying that both these artists have really strong lyrics, and thought another point of comparison between their lyrics is that both these albums mention dead animals. Phoebe brings the image of a bird in your mouth often, and Spanish Love Songs talks about pointing out dead dogs on the road. So if it wasn't morbid enough, we we're talking about the end of the world and dead animals. We're just morbid and talking about sad stuff and death and whatever.
Super depressing. I suggest you try it.
Something else that I definitely wanted to point out about these artists is that there's no sophomore slump. Both of these albums are considered to be their sophomore albums, or just is the sophomore album, and they're standouts. You didn't think it could get any better than what they previously put out, but they did it. They're amazing. I'm so thankful for these albums. I just want to gush about them forever, but nobody's got time for that. Thanks for listening to me talk about my favorite albums of 2020. Let's be real, there's a couple others, but these captured this year preemptively somehow, and I'm forever thankful to these artists for that. I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description. One will be to Spanish Love Songs Patreon. If you have the money and resources to keep this band afloat during this time, please do so. I know that they've put a lot of effort into making the 610 Club worth joining, so go on over there and support our homies. I know I bought tickets to their tour that got canceled, and I really want them to be able to come back. The other link in the description will be to an ASMR video where Phoebe is the model who's having ASMR done to them. It's just been really relaxing to listen to when I'm stressed and cannot fall asleep. I fell asleep to it last night and was just so thankful that it existed. So if you're stressed out and having a tough time, if these albums don't bring you any comfort, maybe this ASMR video of the beautiful Phoebe Bridgers can do that for you. Again, thank you for checking out this video. Links in the description. Comment, like, subscribe if you're into that. And remember, brave faces, everyone. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.